Welcome to episode 3 of SJSO Unlocked. We're here with some of the members of the K9 team for our episode today. Welcome, everybody. How excited are you?
Thank you.
Very excited. Very excited.
This is a really fun episode. I'm excited for it. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has listened or watched the first couple episodes of our podcast. We've gotten amazing feedback from the community, and we love hearing what you all think and the feedback you have, the episodes ideas that you have. So keep them coming. If you did watch our first 2 episodes and have feedback for us or have something that you like or want to see, send us an email to unlockedpodcast@sjso.org, and we'll be able to see that email, see your suggestions, and respond to you. But for now, we have the K9 team here today. So can everybody go around and just tell us about yourselves, your dogs?
Yeah, so I'm Corporal Hill. I'm the trainer of the unit, well, one of the trainers. So I have K9 and Baku. We've been together for about 4 years. He'll be 7 in November. He is a German Shepherd, the more traditional police dog, I will say. Started out patrol. Obviously, we're still on patrol. But we also are attached to the SWAT team. We do all the high-risk deployments. And that's pretty much it. Started here in 2017. Always had an interest in K9. Worked very closely with Lieutenant Burrell. She was the corporal on my shift. So I got to spend time with her. John Floyd was another handler on our rotation, so I got to spend time with him and K9 Maverick, the show pony, until the K9 United demo when he wasn't the show pony anymore, John, just so you remember that. And that was it, man. Got my foot in the door with K9 and been going ever since.
And I will say we had a swear-in with all of the K9s.
Right.
And I did notice the whole time that you all were standing there and the sheriff was speaking and Baku had a ball in his mouth.
Yeah.
Is that his security blanket? Does he always have a ball in his mouth?
I call it his pacifier when we're around a lot of people or things that I feel like could be a little bit uncomfortable for him, just because he is a patrol dog. So I like to give him his little pacifier. He's happy with it. When the sheriff comes up, I don't have to worry about anything happening. Then I lose my job. He loses his job. We're all secure in our employment with his little pacifier. So it works out that way.
Awesome.
I'm Deputy Nathan Lebon. I have K9 Raven, and she's a German short-haired pointer. I've been at the sheriff's office for 6 years, and about a year ago, the sheriff wanted to implement a dog inside the jail for narcotic detection. So very honored and excited to be a part of that. We go into jail daily, and we just do random searches of cell blocks, of housing areas, exterior, interior, all those things. And it's been great. There's 2 dogs. There's me and Raven, and there's Rafieres and Cora. So we have alternating shifts, so there's always coverage.
Where's your dog from?
She is from Canada.
Canada.
Oh, yeah. She came down from Canada, and she was in Marion County for a little bit, and then they were brought to us.
And Cora is Raven's sister.
Correct.
Right?
Correct,
they're from the same litter?
They are, yeah.
Wow.
I'm Stephanie Stuart. My dog's name is Tonic. He came with Tonic. I felt like that was really, he came with Tonic. I didn't want to change it. I thought Tonic was pretty cool. But I've been with the sheriff's office. I started in October of 2019, a little over 5 years now. I got Tonic on 4/20 last year. Sorry, I had to. So I got him last April. I started the unit. I passed, got picked and everything. Coming up on about a year. Coming up, I think it was the end of February was when I got selected, and we did the fitness test and stuff like that. So Tonic is our current only bomb dog here at the sheriff's office. Usually say EOD, bomb dog, same thing. It was really cool how I got him. And when I say cool, I mean they sent me a photo and go, here's your dog. They drove down from West Virginia and then basically dropped him off. And they're like, all right, you guys got 2 weeks to bond. And I'm like, what's up? He's just sitting there. I'm like, cool, what's up? No, he's great. He's so cool. The story on him is he came from Bulgaria, I do believe. That's what his passport says. My dog has a passport. I do not. He came from Bulgaria, was sold to a kennel in West Virginia, and then that's how we got him. So he is phenomenal. He's a Labrador Retriever mix.
What else?
I'm glad you asked.
He is.
So according, and
this is,
I think this is the difference between me and others, is that I'm willing to put the money into a DNA test because I need to know.
The dog cool. Mom. The dog mom.
100%. Professional dog mom. Professional. He is Labrador Retriever. Golden Retriever. Bernese Mountain Dog. What else was it?
German Shepherd.
3%, but he got that dog in him.
German Shepherd,
He does.
for sure.
3% German Shepherd.
I'm not a fan of German Shepherd or anything, but German Shepherd.
Sure, that's not biased
But
at all.
you didn't know he was mixed with all these breeds, right?
I had a feeling because you really don't come across a long-haired chocolate lab, and you can tell that like he just doesn't look like a traditional chocolate lab, but everyone's like, oh, well, maybe he's like Bulgaria's version of a lab. And I'm like, Bulgarian Labrador Retriever. The amount of times I Googled that, it's ridiculous. And I was like, all right, this still doesn't look like him. So I just basically ended up just paying for the DNA test. But I did it more for, like, less for the breeds, but also because it came with genetic health testing and everything like that. So, like, I do have a little bit of comfort knowing the 30 different health issues he could encounter later on in life, like, you know, anything with his spine, you know, stuff like that. He's, according to the test, he's clear of all those. So, but I had a feeling, you look at him and you're like, that's not a lab.
We also were concerned that he had some sort of human element to him because that is the smartest dog I've ever been around. So he has something in him. Like he taught us through the narcotics school, that dog is smart. So we were like, he may have some baby genius in him somewhere. So we wanted to figure out so we can duplicate it. But apparently maybe the German Shepherd in him is probably why he's so smart. But
I'm sorry there's no German Short Hair Pointer in him.
He's a little crazy though.
No, but I will say our K9 unit, since I've been here, I've taken a lot of pictures of our dogs, and they're all pretty photogenic, but Tonic is the most photogenic dog.
He's a handsome boy.
He just looks at the camera and
he's like, you want me to look at the camera and take a picture? I'll do it. Yeah,
There are so many
great.
amazing pictures I have of Tonic, and other dogs too, but Tonic just, he's a special dog.
I
You
think
can
he
put
was the
costumes
first.
on him and everything, hats.
He wears a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, I think when we first got him, it went into, we're training this dog. So I'm a first-time handler. It's my first year on the unit. I'm not trying to say I don't know what I'm doing. I kind of do. I'm still learning. We're still learning every day. I think you guys can attest to that as well.
New trainers too, because I'm new as a trainer.
And then we've got a dog that came to us completely clean slate. He knew sit and he knew down. And then it's like, okay, here we go. Like, we're just going for it. We're going to put this dog on 13 different explosives. And he did so good.
So how do you, like, when you're taking a chance with a dog like that, how are you guaranteed that it's going to work out? Or is it kind of like a hit or miss?
So you essentially, when you do dog selection, you're basically going off potential, which is like a really dangerous word. Like you hear it in sports, right? The rookie has really good potential. In 2 years, he's out of the league. It's the same thing when we do dog selection. So we select a dog based on the potential that we see at testing, and we do as much as we can on site. But ultimately, when you get them back home, things change. They're not as comfortable. They may not get along with the handler. Different things happen. So basically, you take dogs and you test them and you select based off of the potential that you see in the dog while you're there. And honestly, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, just like everything else. So that's kind of what you look for. You're like, I think this dog will be a really good fit when it gets back. And sometimes they're not, sometimes they are. Most vendors give you like a workability warranty. So if it doesn't work out, you essentially just take the dog back and they swap you out for another dog. Different things like that, as long as it's not something that like you're at fault like with the agency.
Do those dogs then still become canines, or?
It depends. So it depends on like why they get returned. So like if we have a patrol dog that may not have the ability to do it, so to speak, is what I'll say. So we don't get like too far into the weeds. They may take that dog back and reevaluate and say, hey, maybe we'll sell it as a single-purpose dog versus a dual-purpose dog. And then, like your single-purpose dogs, it depends on why we're sending it back. So if we're sending it back just because it doesn't like Deputy Lebon, then maybe they will just try to find a better fit for a handler. Maybe it needs like a female handler, somebody more soft-spoken, something like that. Or if it's just like, this dog doesn't have the drive to do the dog at all, maybe they will do like a service dog or something like that. So they always get repurposed in some capacity. It just depends, like the reasons why you take it back. So it's like it changes.
Can we just talk about the K9 unit in general, the specialties that all the dogs have, and the number of K9 teams and all that?
Yeah, so I want to kind of like spotlight the unit. These guys work hard. So we're going on about a year with the new leadership in place. Sergeant McGuire took over as a sergeant. I stepped into the corporal role with the trainer. throughout the last year, we put 6 new K9 teams through school for a variety of purposes. We'll get into that. But it's really unique here at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. We have so much support from sergeant all the way up to sheriff, from Lieutenant Burrell, who's a former handler, Director Martin's a former handler, Captain Russell has come in, and he wasn't a handler before, but he's shown like such a passion for the unit that is like we've benefited so greatly. So we're very appreciative of that. Over the past year, just a snapshot, we had 1,258 deployments. 1,023 of those were detection, and 235 of those were patrol deployments. And then these guys, I mean, they kill it every month. They had over 5,500 hours of training. So if you want to know what the unit does, we're always working, we're always training. We love it. So each individual dog and handler make a team. So we're all individual teams, and then we make the K9 unit. 14 different teams and 28 different personalities, right? So it is always a good time in the K9 unit, always something. Sergeant McGuire has like a heart rate monitor on him somewhere. We keep his blood pressure up. Yeah.
The dogs that stress him out, or the people that stress him out?
It's probably a little bit of both. Yeah. Some handlers like me have more than one personality, so we got to multiply that times 2. So we always keep him on his toes, but he's good. We have 14 K9 teams in total. That ranges from narcotics, EOD, which is our bomb dog, patrol dogs. We have the bloodhounds, 2 of the best bloodhounds, I think, in the country. We have YRD gun dogs. We have our jail dogs. I mean, we have dogs pretty much everywhere within the sheriff's office. And I talk about this all the time. Our sheriff has a true passion for dogs. So if there's a need for a dog and he finds it, we will have it here at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. So don't be surprised if we have probably 20 K9 teams by the end of this year, because the sheriff wants to add 6 more teams. But we love it. We love training. So we're all about it.
And those, you had mentioned a little over 1,200 calls?
So we have 1,258 deployments.
So is that from everything?
From everything. So that goes from our EOD sweeps, our sweeps of the jail, our sweeps of the courthouse, the chambers. Anytime we call it the paws hit the ground, it is considered a deployment. So vehicle sniffs, and literally anything. Deploying with the SWAT team.
Tracking with the bloodhounds.
Tracking with the bloodhounds, missing persons, criminal elements that they track for. So the fact that we do utilize the dogs at the rate that we do is good, because you always want the dogs to be able to put in work. Right.
And that's still technically training, right? Every time they're deployed. That's
every deployment, every
enacting
deployment.
your training into something that's real.
It's almost like a test or an eval to kind of see where you're at and see what you need to tweak in training and different things like that. But no matter how you train, we talk about sight pictures for the dogs. No deployment is ever the same, from patrol work to EOD sweeps to jail sweeps. Like, it can even be the same environment, but something changes within it to make it unique to that dog. So they have to be capable of thinking on their feet and be able to problem solve through things.
Well, I know, like, when you do a deployment, you identify new problems that arise, right? I wouldn't say a bad problem, but a problem that you can bring to the next training to correct it, right? Because every deployment is different. You're in a different environment, different sounds, smells, all those things. So you can identify those at that deployment, train for it next time to correct it.
And we debrief almost every deployment.
Oh, yeah.
Either all together as a unit or individually. So, like, and we give each other feedback, constructive feedback, I guess we should say, most of the time. But we have to be honest, because our position is different than any other. It's like not even a liability, but it's literally like life and death, literally every time we put our dogs on the ground, right?
Now, how do you all work together given your different specialties, like especially in the jail too? Like, are you working with the patrol dogs on things, or are you guys completely separate?
We all have some sort of odor that they're imprinted on that we work on. So we all train together for odor. And then the patrol dogs will typically break apart for patrol work.
A lot of our building blocks to build these dogs up to be who they are now, we all come from the same basic blocks, you know, with the basic obedience and the detection and everything like that. You know, I understand my dog smells explosives and their dogs smell drugs, but the way that they behave when they have that scent or when they're in that scent, it's the same behavior. You know, just their dogs are going to pass C4 and probably not pay attention to it. my dog's going to pass meth and probably go, whatever. But when they find that odor that they're trained into, and that's kind of like our basic building blocks. But then also we've worked together. I know I've brought Tonic into an apprehension training one day where we were using laser pointers. And that's something
he also taught us how to use laser pointers, in case you're wondering. Her dog did. Yeah.
He might be part cat as well.
Wow.
There's a lot.
He just figured it out.
He doesn't use the laser pointer, but like Rob came to me and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing today?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just hanging out." He's like, "Cool, come to apprehension training. We're going to work on laser pointers with the dogs." And we were using the laser pointers as like a marker to where we were telling the dog, "Hey, find this laser pointer and go there." And then every time that he would put his nose on it, we would get the click, and then we would reward him with food. My dog runs off of food because he's just always hungry. He's not starved, he just loves food. But it's one of those things where it's kind of like I was able to go to their apprehension training and work with them on that, and that's just something where I feel like we do like intermingle.
Yeah, so like laser directionals, I think the end game is different, but the process to get there is the same. We want to be able to send a dog out away from the handler and go accomplish a task, right? So this is where dog training kind of ties back in together no matter what it is. So for patrol dogs, it's usually go out and find bad guy. So if there's 6 doors, I may only want you to go through a certain door. So I send you out, you go do that. For the EOD dogs, the goal behind that was to kind of be able to send a dog out, range a dog out to be able to go sniff a vehicle without putting the bomb squad, Stephanie, and the other citizens in harm's way. So we can send a dog out, send a dog downrange, go detect a sniff. We do marker training, which is like a mark and release. So if he does indicate on the call, we're able to safely mark the dog and then call him back to us, and so he can get his reward. So he gets to go down and do all that investigative stuff without putting anybody in harm's way. So it works out. We're still working on it. Well, Tonic, we're still working on it. Tonic's got it figured out, as we learned the other day at training. So we're still working through all of that, especially for the patrol dogs. It works translating to the SWAT world. All the SWAT guys have lasers on their rifles, so they can give laser directionals to my dog while we're doing search warrants, searching for people, different things like that. So always training, so always a work in progress, but we'll get there.
And I want to talk a little bit about like calls that you all have responded to where the K9 unit or the K9 involved has been like a huge part in resolving the issue or solving the case. Or do you guys have any calls recently, or could be in the last couple of years, however, I guess whatever the magnitude of the call that you remember that was just an insane part of the K9 unit of solving that call?
So I think we'll talk about the juveniles, the escapees.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good segue into that. So we got that call early in the morning. I'm not sure how early it was.
This was back in October, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 in the morning. I was still asleep, so it was early. So we got the call about 4 escaped juveniles from it was actually more than that. We thought there were like some on the roof, some got out, some were still running around. It was a interesting phone call.
Well, before you go on, I just want to say, if anybody watching this, we posted the body cam video of this incident on our social media, so you probably have seen that. It went pretty viral. Yeah. But juveniles escaped from a state-run facility, right? Mm-hmm. In Hastings.
Yep.
And then you all end up getting a call and go ahead.
Yeah. So we get the call. We know at least 4 have made it out. So what essentially happens with the magnitude of this, it's like a push the red button type thing. So we knew that it was, we don't go back home until they're all 4 in custody, right? So the first obligation, or the first thing we wanted to do, was to get as many dogs there as we could. So we have 4 patrol dogs. Because of Murphy's Law, our bloodhounds were out of town at a conference, so they were out of pocket. So what we had to do was immediately just lean on all of our friends, right? So we contacted Clay County Sheriff's Office, we contacted Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and we contacted Flagler County and said, hey, help. So
at this point, did you know if they were violent?
We didn't get a whole lot of criminal history. This was like, hey, get here now type of call out. And then what we'll do is we'll get a briefing once we get on scene, and they'll explain all that to us. So I go to that now. So we get there. Obviously, everybody's coming. We do get a debrief. very violent criminal histories. They used force to get keys, to get out. One was possibly armed with a makeshift knife, all that stuff. So it more than met our ground versus counter element for the patrol dogs to be utilized. So we did. So the initial track, K9 Volker and Deputy Martin get a successful track, a verified track through Deputy Martin being able to identify human footprints. So he's like, hey, I know my dog's on it, but it also makes you feel really good to look down and see like your dog's nose literally scraping on top of footprints. So you know like, hey, we're on the right track. Based on the terrain out there, it got really muddy and wet. So they end up seeing that the guys double back. Deputy Schrock and K9 Junior also deployed. I think they deployed like right into swamp water. So that was very short lived. Like K9 Junior's like a little pocket rocket. So he probably was like drowning.
He's a really
or something
sweet
like
boy,
that.
though.
Yeah.
He's such a sweet boy.
Very cuddly boy.
Such a great dog.
We should bring him in office.
Yeah.
Right now.
Sweet boy.
So we end up getting, while they're out tracking and they're gathering all this intel through the dogs, we actually get a phone call from a resident after we did the reverse 911. And the community partnership in St. Johns County is like no other. If you commit a crime in St. Johns County, they're going to call. They're going to let us know. They're going to give us tips. It's amazing. So we were able to utilize that tip. We shifted what we call our perimeter. Sergeant Martz from Clay County was our, I was in the UCC. Sergeant Martz from Clay County was our forward command out on scene. So he was kind of running things on the scene, on the ground. We kind of came up with a plan. What happened is while we were coming up with that plan, Deputy Nagelbauer and K9 Bain, the OG of the unit, he was able to, also another fantastic tracking dog. He was able to obtain a track. He tracked through the backyard, through the woods, and he came out to a clearing with an empty lot with vacant cars, which you see in the body camera. And you'll see what we call a bark alert at the door, which is what the dogs will do if there's human odor somewhere. They'll bark, letting the handler know, hey, silly human, there's humans in this structure, either a car or a building or something like that. So we came up with a plan based on like the car is like overgrown. It's really dark tint. They weren't able to really see inside the car. So he gave announcements, offered them a chance to surrender. They did not. And ultimately we had to make a decision to go inside the car and see what was going on. So they opened the door. One of the suspects was in the front passenger seat. K9 Bain was sent in to apprehend that guy. We successfully extracted him from the vehicle. And then everybody else in the car saw the party that was going on, and they decided they didn't want any parts of it. So we took the other three into custody without incident.
Wow. Did the one kid that was bit by Bane, did he have are they just grabbing onto them, or
So we teach our dogs to bite and hold, and this is very important. So we teach our dogs to bite and hold. The goal is not to do damage. The goal is literally to apprehend them and bring them to us safely from wherever they're at. Mm-hmm. So we no longer wanted him in the car. So we wanted to safely extract him from the car without putting any humans in danger, essentially. So our goal is to not do any damage. Sometimes suspects fight and do different things that causes certain things to happen. But we are very proactive in teaching our dogs how to bite. We want forward driving behavior because we want the pain compliance. We don't want the tearing and the thrashing or anything like that. So when we send a dog to bite and hold, we want very forward driving behavior to induce the pain compliance to get them to do whatever we want. So if we don't want you in the closet anymore, then we use a dog to extract you from the closet. Meanwhile, that forward driving behavior while they're biting assists with the pain compliance of I will do anything, just make this stop. And then that's how we get that done. So our dog bites are not gross, I guess I should say. I like to call them very clean bites is what we shoot for. And most of the time, by the time they leave Flagler Hospital, where we go to get them medically cleared, you can't even tell that they were bit by a dog. So we do a very good job. keeping the liability down on our agency at the end of the day.
This was a pretty extensive search, right? There were a lot, other than the K9 unit, there were a lot of other resources
Oh,
involved.
a lot of resources. Air unit, drones, the ag unit was out there. That's where we got most of our intel on the terrain out there, was our ag deputy coming out and giving us all that insight. And we were pushing a certain way. He's like, I'm going to tell you now, they're like waist deep in water right now, and it only gets worse. So they're probably going to double back. And then like less than 5 minutes after he told us that, we get the phone call about them being back on this side of the facility. So it's definitely a team effort. We talk about that K9 isn't successful without patrol and all the other assets. We need them to function. We need them to be successful. That's why we have to get along with everybody, because we need them to be able to do our job and be successful. So whether it's setting a perimeter, clearing out a cell block, being proactive and stopping cars that they want us to sniff, right? Because that's work that we want. So we need them to do that for us. Making sure they clear out buildings for bomb sweeps, different
Very
things
much.
like that. Yeah,
It's truly a team effort.
Yeah, we get the credit, but it's all the patrol guys that make it happen. Patrol shift leaders, watch commanders that allow proactive policing, so we can utilize our patrol dogs to find people and different things like that. So patrol, we love you if you're listening.
And then I want to pivot to the jail. I mean, what are you all seeing in there, and the types of searches that you're doing, or just in general, the types of?
So we do get a lot of intel of the possibility of narcotics being present in certain areas, and thankfully the dogs, they bring validity to that, whether it's true or not. A big thing too is their deterrence. The inmates know that there's dogs in the jail now, so I've actually seen a decline in those intels coming out, just knowing that the dogs are in there. She has the ability to locate fentanyl before a deputy does, or an inmate does, or a staff member does, to prevent exposures. And that was a big thing that has occurred in the jail, but it hasn't happened since the dogs have been implemented. But yeah, we search every day, and we've had some finds in the jail, so it's a bittersweet moment, right? You don't want any narcotics in a secure facility. And this proves, just with one find, this proves that our staff is doing a terrific job of identifying and finding these drugs and capturing them before they get into the jail. But it also shows, too, that every once in a while some can slip in by whatever means, and the dogs are there to find them as a secondary search. And
So we talked about when we got his dog and Stephanie's dog, it's almost unfair to them, because we never want them to find anything. We never want them to find narcotics in a secure facility, and we definitely don't want Tonic to alert on some explosive device. So a successful career for them is like very little actual finds, because we're doing our job as deputies, searching prior to coming in, or corrections officers searching prior to coming in. I guess the EOD thing is a different animal, but like also, hey, we just don't want to find bombs in our county. So like if Tonic goes out, he's not finding bombs, we're probably living a good life in St. Johns County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we want. We want, one, the deterrent, the presence of the dogs, but two, we want to not have any alerts from these dogs for whatever reason, either be it a bomb or some type of narcotics in our facility.
that's probably one of the biggest questions I get is, how many narcotics has your dog found? And it's sometimes a hard question to answer, because they think if you're not finding things daily, your dog's not working well. But that's far from the truth. It's showing that the dog is doing very well.
And then on the topic of Tonic, of EOD, you all have been called out pretty frequently recently.
Yeah. Within the past, I'd say 1 or 2 months, we've been utilized more often than I thought we were going to be.
Can you describe those type of calls?
We have the response to the Publix, where we had the bomb threat at the Publix up in Sawgrass. Recent bomb threats at Creekside, which definitely caught me off guard. The dog is utilized to a point where if somebody makes a threat and they go, hey, I put a bomb in your mailbox, we're not going to put the dog on that specific mailbox, because what's the point? When we have a bomb team that can utilize x-rays and a man in a giant green suit, the bomb suit, why not do that instead of put the dog in harm's way? So the times that I've been called out to this, it's been so vague. It's, oh, we placed a bomb somewhere on the property. And it's like, okay, well, instead of utilizing the bomb squad, which they were still there for these, instead of utilizing the bomb squad and having a single person in a bomb suit scan everything, which would take hours, if not the entire day. This is where Tonic comes into play. So basically when it came to Publix, very vague threat, somebody on the phone, anonymous line, obviously said, hey, and don't laugh, but they were like, if you don't give us $5,000 in iTunes gift cards, we're going to blow up the store. That's a first for me. Usually they don't ask for iTunes gift cards. But basically what ended up happening was there was no specifics. It was something was delivered to the store. Something was given to an employee. Like there was no specifics to it. So we go there. The bomb team does their thing and they x-ray a couple of packages that were delivered by UPS that day. But when those came back empty, they were just prescriptions or something like that. They go, all right, Steph, here's your turn. We need you to sweep the storage facility because they can't go and they can't check everything. So that's when Tonic, comes into play. I deploy him in the back of the store. He's always on lead for stuff like that. I don't willy-nilly let him go because as much as I do believe that he's a phenomenal dog, he's still young. I'm still new. We still have a lot of stuff that we need to do, and that doubles back to us working, looking at our deployments and seeing things that we can improve on. But basically there, I just keep him on a lead, and I'm like, all right, Tonic, let's go do your job. Let's find it. And right then and there, he like a switch flips on. It's really the coolest thing ever. Like, you've got to see it to like feel how awesome it is. But then, I just have him check the different boxes. There's floral arrangements, there's produce, bathrooms, offices and stuff like that. And he just goes in and sniffs everything. I'll tell you what, shout out to JSO, because I know that you touched on this too, Rob. But basically, I was under the impression they wanted us to do the entire store, inside and out. And I was like, one dog cannot physically do that. If you give me time to do it, Tonic's fine. But like usually a lot of EOD dogs, with how specific they are, they'll their cutoff mark's about 10 to 15 minutes if you want them to do a really, really good sniff. You can push a dog further, but then it gets to the point of, are they actually sniffing as well as they can, or they just look like it?
Not there.
Yeah, the quality is not there. So I reached out, or I didn't reach out to JSO, but Rob and my sergeant reached out to JSO, and we're like, hey, we just need a extra dog. We just need a little help. They show up with 4, and I was like, cool.
Better more than
it's
not
really
enough,
like beneficial.
It
was like
the mutual aid is a game changer for us. Like with having 14 dogs, we're still like a smaller unit. So anytime we can utilize mutual aid, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
So
they brought out 4 dogs. We were ready for whatever was going to get thrown at us. And then Publix goes, oh, no, you can just do the back storage facility. And I was like, sorry to make y'all come out here.
So this was after Bomb Squad had already gone and x-rayed those boxes in question.
Yes.
And then you all are kind of that secondary.
Yeah.
So double check everything.
Exactly. A lot of what what we do is we call it like a secondary search or a secondary device search. He's searching to make sure there's no secondary devices that this person might have hit or put there. Do we have time to talk about Creekside or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Like really vague threat made on the dark web or some kind of weird website where they were like, they just said Creekside High School. They didn't specify where, what state or anything, but because we have a Creekside, obviously it applies to us. And then it turned into, we've placed bombs in the bathrooms and on the benches and X, Y, and Z, but we were able to reverse search the image. Came back to a bomb threat out of Spokane, Washington from 2011. But still, because the threat was made, we'd like, and this is like towards everybody, we just can't brush off a threat. You just can't say, oh, that's a fake image, like, whatever, like you've got to treat it realistic every time. And I think that is the best way to do it. We just can't brush it off, because the one day that it's legit and I don't go there, I'm going to feel bad. But basically what it turned into is we ended up searching pretty much half of the high school. Tonic and I, we had Deputy Scott Wright as well, who's currently training our other EOD dog, but he's also a certified bomb technician. He went off to school in Alabama to certify as a bomb technician. He was with Tonic and I as we basically searched the entire gymnasium, the locker rooms, which, by the way, all the kids left their backpacks in the locker room. So that's another thing where you kind of walk into that where the walls just line with backpacks. And you're like, whoa, it's like, that's weird. And then Tonic, again, just absolute killer of a dog, just goes in and is just going backpack after backpack. And he was so gentle, which is great. Just in a line going around it. But again, with that was a huge help with the YRDs and patrol and even the motor unit, was that they were able to clear out Creekside safely. They did it phenomenal time as well. Like, it was just cleared out like that. But we had different groups where we responded. And basically, Tonic took the bigger areas, but also the more detailed areas. And then I do believe that what the other YRDs did is they just basically walked around and they were looking for suspicious items, to where if it came down to that, Tonic was able to go and check on those suspicious items to make sure they weren't EOD related. So,
And especially with schools, especially threats to schools nowadays.
yes.
Those are especially serious given, everything around the country. So, but nothing was found. School was back as normal.
Yep.
Everything good. The last thing I want to touch on is missing people. Because bloodhounds aren't here to speak about that. But I know that's such a huge...
Oh, they kill it.
We deal with that, a couple times a week? Where the bloodhounds...
a couple times a day.
Get involved.
Yeah.
And whether it's a older person with dementia or Alzheimer's or,
It's
like
amazing
kids
watching them work,
kids
too.
just running off.
It's phenomenal watching them work.
Yeah, so we have two of the best bloodhounds, I feel like, in the state, probably the country. I don't know. We have Deputy Merritt, who's been running the bloodhound for over 22 years. She's a instructor on NPBA,
National Police Bloodhound Association,
yes.
NPBA.
Deputy Cooper is currently working on that. He's been running the bloodhound over 7 years, and those two are truly phenomenal. They kill it on their deployments. One thing proactively that we like to push out for people that know that they have a child with special needs or an elderly person in their household with some sort of mental health issue going on.
Cognitive decline.
Yes, that.
Ailment.
So we have the Scent Evidence K9 kits that you can proactively reach out to the sheriff's office and get, and it streamlines deployment for the bloodhounds. So what happens is Deputy Merritt, Deputy Cooper, myself, or Sergeant McGraw will come out to your residence. We have sterile gauze pads that we would collect the human odor from your loved one. It goes into a scent jar, and you store it in a controlled environment inside of your residence. What happens is, God forbid the day happens or the day comes where your loved one runs off, the canine handler is able to go inside your residence, grab that scent jar, and have target odor, sterile target odor, and more precise odor than us having to go through your house and try to find a scent article.
Wow.
If you reach out to us, we would love to do it for you. Again, time is of the essence when these things happen. We have the 2 bloodhounds right now. We are getting our GSP spun up in the jail. Again, when these things happen, we need dogs on deck and we need dogs that can go out and deploy. Yeah, so we want to get these dogs out. So they're all going to be scent discrimination, all that stuff. So we want to be able to get them target odor as fast as we can with like a clear picture of what we want. So that's why we want that sterile odor that they can go and grab without having to sort through.
Dirty laundry.
They already have a ton of other things to sort through. We don't want them to have to sort through whatever the target odor is. It's a very successful program, so I think it's well worth the investment of time for your loved one for sure.
Awesome. Now I have a couple fun questions that I know everybody listening is probably wondering.
Were these on the paper?
No. Well, some of them are. But we were talking, I was thinking of more. I'm curious about the dog breeds because usually you would think of a normal canine being a German Shepherd or a Belgian. Or
German Shepherd.
Now,
Here we go.
they're all different breeds. Explain how the canine world is evolving with including more dog breeds into everyday operations, especially specialties.
Maybe a little bit of trial and error. Mm-hmm. They had to go back to the table and figure out what breeds kind of can still get the job done. That's not your traditional breed, but also takes a little bit of liability off the agency. Mm-hmm. Also, honestly, certain dogs are better at certain things than others. So that's just how it is. I mean, certain dogs have more of a, not more drive, but they just have, they're bred, like they're predisposed differently to different things. So they just have different specialties or different things that they're capable of doing. So the GSPs, go ahead, Stephanie. You're mix. You're 23andMe dog.
Wow. Not 23andMe. So in preparation for this, I did write down all the breeds we have at the sheriff's office.
Oh.
I'm still putting Tonic under Labrador, even though he is a lab
Shepherd,
thing.
German Shepherd.
Chocolate Retriever, formally stamp it. Approval. So breeds. So basically we do have Malinois. We've got German Shepherds. We have a Dutch Shepherd. We've got German short hair pointer and German wire hair pointer. Mm-hmm. That's one that looks like he's got like a beard and a mustache.
He's so cute.
Merlin.
Merlin.
Scout.
Asterisk.
Okay, can you
Merlin.
explain
Do we have
the
to explain
drama?
that now?
I know the drama, but
It's not
If
really
you- if
it's not
you
really
see-
drama.
If you
fun
see
drama.
Brian Wright's patrol car driving around town, you'll see K9 Scout with an asterisk. And I always wondered, and I asked, why does it have an asterisk?
It's not drama.
It's humor.
we talk
We're
about
funny.
the unit. We're a unit. We're 14 people. We all stand in solidarity against that name.
Yes.
13
13 of us, actually.
Yeah, 13 of us, because for some reason Brian still thinks it's a good name, but that's fine. We just want him to know that Merlin was a better name.
He's not backing down either.
You think
He's not
Merlin's
backing
a
down.
better
He's
name
not-
than
He had
Scout?
so many options. We even
Yeah.
talked about, what was it, Master Splinter from the Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles?
Yeah.
He looks
Anything.
like the rat.
Anything.
Yeah,
And
with
it's
the
like,
Yeah.
whiskers.
We
Splinter.
tried.
Here's my dog in the school's named Splinter. What more could you ask
Yeah,
for?
it's awesome.
Yeah,
You know,
we
but it-
tried,
Most
but
kids
I
know
mean,
We
Yeah.
did.
Teenage
He had
Mutant
so many
Ninja
options. Walter. We even said Walter. Call the dog Walter. You know?
We
No,
tried.
zero hate
man.
towards Brian.
I
Maybe
mean,
like
the only other
1%
thing is
hate,
just to
but-
go ahead and remove Brian and Scout from the unit, and we don't really want to do that just because
No.
of his name choice. So, Merlin Scout asterisk is a really good dog, also in his own right. Right, the Wright brothers.
Yeah, but he's our wire hair
He's
pointer.
definitely the strong end of that team for sure. So,
And then we have bloodhounds, and then we have labs/lab things. So I know that according to the paper, you gave this topic to me, and I did my.
we also have
research.
a Dutch Shepherd for Junior. We actually don't know what that dog is made of. Dutch Shepherd, hyena.
It could. I said
No,
hyena mix.
definitely. hyena.
Could
Something
be-
is something's definite.
Maybe
We
the
need a
devil.
23
Velociraptor.
and me that dog.
Have
Something
you
is
never?
Raptor,
definitely-
You've never.
We can't get close enough to do 23 and me, so we just
Junior,
kind of let him do whatever.
Boy.
From
He's
Jurassic
a-
Park.
he is
We let
misunderstood.
Junior do whatever he wants.
Nope. How about nobody
I
will stop
remember
Junior?
Don't let the size fool you.
No, he's really good. He's actually a really good dog.
So good. So sweet.
One
loves
of
cuddles.
one
You
of
do
the
not
best
wanna get
one of
bit
the
by him,
best
though.
dogs on the street right now, I would say. So
Yeah.
Swash Patrol dogs, yeah.
And then to pivot.
The handler's okay too, Logan. He's all right.
To pivot on that, how do you tell your dog or differentiate between work and home? I know at work, especially the apprehension dogs, they probably just have a lot of adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
How do you separate that between, especially if you have other dogs at home too, other cats, animals, maybe kids?
So
how do you separate
my life
that?
is pretty simple at home for my dog. Working dogs, they go to work all day. They're pinned up in the car. They want to get out. They want to do things. They go on deployments. So basically, their time at home is to kind of decompress from the day and get ready to go back and do it again. For the most part, he's in the kennel. We let him decompress, and then he gets out. On the weekends, maybe he has more time out just to kind of let him get out and hang out. But like definitely working days, it's from work in his kennel, decompress for the night, eats food, eats his dinner, and then we kind of get ready to go back. And then on the weekends, we have our bonding time essentially.
Yeah, I'm the same with Raven. If anything, maybe an hour or so outside, and she'll lay on the dog bed, but she won't really be interacting with anyone. She'll be passed out. But they learn your routine, their routine, right? I mean, every morning when it's work time, the light comes on in the kitchen at 5 o'clock. She knows that she sees the uniform.
Yeah.
She knows it's work time. And you get her out, and she's just wild and spun up. And goes to the bathroom, and then she goes right to the rear door of the car, ready to jump in and go to work. So they learn that routine. They're very smart.
Yeah, they need that routine too, I would say. Like it we talk about like dogs that retire and they still run out to that
Yeah.
car and want to get
Right.
inside.
Aw.
Like they live for that. So it's the routine that gets them. They know what's coming. They know what's going on. They're conditioned to it.
It's the opposite mentality of a pet dog, right? I mean, at home is where they're decompressing all that, and at work is where all the fun and praise and greatness and glory is at for them.
And what about that sense of companionship? Especially for you guys, you're not just, worrying about yourselves all day. You have a partner that you're worrying about all day and you have alongside of you. How is that different when you're just going about your everydays?
Oh, it's still there for sure. I mean, the sense of pride I have for this dog is disgusting. I never thought I could feel so like I love my dog. There is no doubt about it. But just knowing that I was able to help him be where he is today, like that sense of pride. He is my best friend. Like I will talk to Tonic in a baby voice. I don't care who you are that tells me I am ridiculous for doing that. He is my baby. He is my pride. He is, and your dogs. But it's just kind of to the point where it's like, you know, even though we're not working at home, you know, just still working on the basics when I'm taking him for a walk around the neighborhood, still working on that obedience. My dog's a little bit different to where you know, at work, he is just lovable, friendly, rolling around. You really can't get him to sit down and stay still. That is just Tonic at work. You know, he wants to please, he wants to be happy, tongue hanging out the side of his mouth. When we're home, he is the laziest thing ever. You know, he really don't do much, but like he's very protective. And I appreciate that because, you know, being, you know, I'm trying to pull being a woman thing, but like it's when I'm walking him late at night and it's just me, you know, knowing that I have that dog that's willing to square up at anybody that walks near us, but he only does that when he's at home and not at work, you know, and I think that's a huge part of his work mode is, oh my God, I love everybody. I love you. Pet me. This is great. I'm loving this. And then the home mode is, hey, this is me. This is my castle. This is my owner. Don't mess with any of them, you know, kind of thing. I don't know if Raven will square up at anybody.
Probably just lick someone.
Probably.
Maybe.
She's got part pit bull with that head. She's got
that
one
one didn't pop up, but no, he's they are definitely there is a home mode and a work mode for each dog for sure, without a doubt. Yeah.
Do they get worn out from the day? Just
they
running
do.
around all day long. They get home and
they get home
done.
and it's you can hear like the decompression in their voice. They take like that deep sigh and then they're like, all right, I'm home in my kennel, which is a sense of security for them. And you just hear them decompress. And then they're usually by the time I'm out of my uniform, Baku's usually taking his nap.
Yeah.
Raven
actually snores sometimes.
Yeah.
Deep sleep.
And then, you know, they wake up and then it's time to eat. They have that internal clock on the dot. He'll wake up. It's time for dinner. He gets fed and then he's back out. So they're worn out when they get home. So it's not like a punishment for them to be in their kennel. They love it. Like it's like, all right, cool. I'm at the house. It's time to go to sleep. Yeah. So it's time to relax, time to decompress, and then they're ready to go the next day.
Do you guys have any advice for anyone who's listening to this or watching this that wants to be a K9 deputy or even just wants to be a deputy in general, wants to join law enforcement? How you all got started and any advice for future K9 deputies?
I would say one of the biggest things with K9 is it is truly a 24/7 job. I mean, you work every day, whether you're at work or not. You have to care for that dog. You have to go to out-of-state trainings, out-of-county trainings. You continually got to push yourself and the dog, get out of your comfort zone. And I mean, that's a big component of it for sure.
As far as whether it's a K9 deputy or a deputy in general, definitely the more exposure you get prior to employment, in my opinion, is huge. I came from a very law enforcement heavy family. So my great-grandpa, grandpa were NYPD, and my dad retired from Flagler County Sheriff's Office, I think 3 years ago now. So it's something where I grew up around it, but I came to realize as I did this job, a lot was hidden from me. You know, when my dad came home and he had that smile on his face, he's not going to tell me about the day that he had. And when I got hired and I began to do this job, I realized that there's a lot that goes on that not everybody knows about. So the more exposure that you get, just realize that it's not what you see on TV. It's not what you hear about from others. I mean, I feel like a lot of people keep a lot of things hidden deep down, which you just don't want to talk about it. But it's one of those things where it's kind of like just be prepared that it's going to be something that you didn't expect. And I think that's with being a K9 deputy as well. I got a lot of forewarning from everybody on the unit prior to joining, and I say that in a good way, to where this becomes your life, 24/7 thing. You are going to have some days where you are severely disappointed. And I'm not saying that I'm disappointed at my dog, but there are days where your dog just doesn't get it. He doesn't want to work. He just know that it isn't always sunshine and rainbows, I think is the best way to put it.
There will be bad days, but you will overcome it the next day.
Yeah. And there are days where you are just having the best time of your life. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about K9 being the most rewarding yet most frustrating position you will ever hold. probably in
emotional.
life in general, from the highs of highs to the lows of lows, like literally not in between days, but in between reps with your dogs at training. So you just have to be ready for that emotional roller coaster. I think even prior to coming to the unit, though, we're looking for people that are professional and proactive, and doesn't have to be told to do anything, because that's what it's about on the unit. We want you to come to training and be the guy that puts out training odors, or be the girl that puts out training odors, or lay a track or a trail for the bloodhounds, or lay a track for the patrol guys. We'll jump in the bite suit. We'll do all of these things without someone having to ask you for the third time and you roll your eyes or anything like that. So also we have a saying in K9 that you get the dog you deserve. So the more you pour into your dog, the better your dog will be. So be willing to put in that extra time.
Right.
I think we've all spent our own time, our own money into these dogs to make them better than they were the day before. So be willing to do that. And then when you come over, you have to have a sense of pride, because you're one of 14. So there's over 300,000 citizens in St. Johns County, but only 14 get to put on the uniform and be a K9 handler. So you're one of 14 people that get to do that in this county, and that's pretty special.
It's prestigious.
So understand what you're stepping into or potentially stepping into, and have pride in the unit, and know that no one is bigger than the unit.
And what one of us can do can either positively or negatively affect everyone in this K9 uniform, let alone the sheriff's office uniform.
Anything else that we didn't cover?
So I want to
You
talk
wanna add?
about deployments and talk about non-engagements, and the apprehension dogs being a tool for de-escalation.
Go for it.
So this past year, we had over 235 patrol deployments. 68 of those resulted in arrest, and only 9 of them were actual K9 engagements. So you talk about less than 10% of our total deployments resulting in a dog bite, and that is the ultimate de-escalation tool. That's a big word right now in law enforcement, to be able to show up on scene and utilize these dogs as de-escalation tools is invaluable. I'm sure the sheriff's office appreciates it, because it ensures that not only we go home safe, but other deputies, other citizens, and ultimately the bad guys that we want to take into custody, right? Because once they commit a crime, they're under arrest, but we have to take care of them. So we would love to do that with the least amount of force possible, but we're also in the customer service business, right? So whatever you're asking for, we're going to give to you, so to speak. So while we would love for everybody to peacefully surrender, we also have to train our dogs for that one percenter that's willing to put up the fight, to not want to go to jail. And I won't even say that, because I think like the human mind, like there's something about a dog coming in and apprehending you. Most of the dog bites that we get are people that think they can play hide and seek a little bit better than our dogs, and ultimately they lose. So I think being able to use these dogs as a de-escalation tool now, especially in 2025, is the ultimate game changer for all of us in the sheriff's office and in the K9 world all over the United States. Just being good about making good, solid decisions on your K9 deployments, and being able to use the ultimate de-escalation tool asset. I like to call it asset tools. Tools, some are valuable, some are not. I think all your assets are valuable, so it's definitely an asset that we were able to use within our agency. The sheriff, I mean, I guess he has a lot of projects, but I think the K9 unit, he'll tell you, is his pride and joy, is his baby. He's very passionate about the programs that we have going on. He invests a lot of time, resources, money into the training for us. Yep. So there's no doubt that makes a difference in all these dogs. And
just to jump off that too, we have to thank K9s United, because Debbie Johnson and her crew, they also host classes and training seminars throughout the country. One of the courses I took with her was a K9 operational medical course. And you get your dog, but do you ever think of how you're gonna help your dog in a medical episode? Is your dog going to get impaled by a stick or a piece of metal?
Oh, good point.
Suffer a gunshot wound, anything like that? So you go to that course and like, wow, So this course, you know, it was a mechanical dog and it would bleed and all that, and you had to go in there and correct the issue. And then at the end of the day, or the end of the course, I should say, excuse me, everyone was provided a medical kit, and it wasn't already put together and handed to you. You had to put it together by how you wanted it, you know, whatever zipper compartment you wanted to use. And that medical kit we can take with us on deployments.
Yeah, we've also been blessed. K9 United, we have some of the best civilian trainers in the area, from Jason Davis up at Jet Set Pets. We have Carlos Ramirez, CRK9, down in Ocala. Jay Nix, who's a sergeant with the Marion County, does a lot with us. Justin Rigney, all these guys that come in and pour their personal time into our unit to make our unit better. That's why I think our unit's so strong. We have access to some of the best trainers out in the world. Literally, Michael Nesbitt, the Grassroots K9, all these guys that come. That's where we got the Canadian dogs. Yeah. So,
and K9s United also supplied the vests, right? For
the ballistic vest.
dogs?
Yeah, the ballistic vest. Yeah,
Just to,
Debbie Johnson. So K9s United started here because of K9 Barron, who was killed in a line of duty. So that's something she is very passionate about. Anytime we need Debbie, she's available. She provides anything that that's a need for us, not a want or a wish list. But if we have legitimate need that can't be met by the sheriff's office, then we can go to Debbie, and she always makes sure that we get it.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Again, if you all enjoyed this episode or want to see more, follow us on our social media platforms, and we are available on all streaming platforms as of now, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you have any questions for the next episode or for the sheriff in future episodes, you can email unlockedpodcast@sjso.org, and we'll answer all your questions. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
See you next time.